Recently, a new type of Umbral Engram has given us access to reacquire some older weapons. Among the 4 re-released weapons is the Ikelos SMG, which, previously, could only be acquired by completing Escalation Protocol events. Much to the community's surprise, this weapon has shown some huge potential, not only with its potential perk combinations, but with its time to kill potential in both PvP and PvE. Many people are putting it with the likes of the Gnawing Hunger in terms of lethality in PvP. But is that really the case? Welcome back to the channel, my name is Man of Coal, and today, let's talk about the Ikelos SMG. To start off, I want to make a quick note of how this video is going to be laid out. I will be covering this weapon for both PvP and PvE, and if you're only here for either one or the other, you can check on this video's timeline for any specific timestamp that you would like to move to. There should be different chapters shown on the actual timeline of the video. Links to the specific timestamps are also in the description box for your convenience. Otherwise, you can watch the whole thing, as it really does help out my channel as we are getting closer and closer to the YouTube partnership requirements. Also, if you like these types of videos, click the subscribe button because you're a nice person and nice people click subscribe buttons. Alright, so let's start off with just a general overview of this weapon. The Ikelos SMG is a 720 RPM aggressive frame SMG that has an optimal time to kill of 0.67 seconds and a body shot time to kill of 1.0 seconds. This SMG will do 22 to the head and 15 to the body, meaning it will take about 9 crit shots or 13 body shots to kill an opponent. Now, the interesting thing is that all Ikelos weapons have the potential to roll an exclusive perk called Seraph rounds, and these rounds over-penetrate targets and bounce off hard surfaces. In other words, it's got a similar mechanic to Hardlight's ricochet rounds. The interesting thing about this perk though, which is found in the magazine slot, is that it has been tested to actually give about a 2 meter bump in effective range. Now, it's not noted anywhere in game or on light.gg, but many other YouTubers have tested this and have all gotten about the same results. On screen right now is the complete possible perk pool for the Ikelos SMG. You will see certain perks have different colors applied to them and some do not. Any perks that have a blue hue to them are recommended for PvE roles. Any perks with the color red applied to them are ideal perks for PvP. And any perks that have gold applied to them are seen as universal, meaning they could be good for both PvE and PvP. Now let's get into the PvP part of this video. So for barrel perks, this will all kind of boil down to what you prefer and what input you play on, either M&K or controller. For me, I'm prioritizing range in the barrel slot and the masterwork because I plan on using it for PvP, and also because my next 2 perks are specifically used to increase my stability, and those perks are dynamic sway reduction and tap the trigger. If you're trying to go for a PvP god roll, this is the one in my opinion. Not only do you get the increased range value from hammer forged rifling and Seraph rounds, but I also get range from my masterwork. And to top it off, both of my perks provide me a bump to stability whenever I shoot the gun. Accurized rounds could definitely replace Seraph rounds, and I would have to do more testing to see which one is actually more effective in the end, but I have yet to get one with accurized rounds yet, believe it or not. But you can never go wrong with accurized rounds on a PvP weapon. Now, like I mentioned earlier, many people in the community have been putting the Ikelos SMG in the same realm as the Gnawing Hunger in terms of damage output and lethality in the Crucible. I was kind of skeptical when I first started seeing videos being put on this, as I just assumed that it was some trendy thing that everybody was on because it was a recently re-released weapon. However, I wanted to make sure that I gave this weapon a real chance at getting my honest review, so I waited until I got a roll that I thought was going to be good in PvP. And so just a few days ago, I actually ended up getting my god roll and immediately took it into the Crucible, and man, the hype behind this weapon is real. I mean, I was able to do almost the exact same things as I would have done if I were to use my Gnawing Hunger. There were a couple things that were pretty noticeable though when using the SMG compared to the auto. The first thing I noticed was that I actually ran out of ammo when using the SMG pretty frequently, which I'm pretty sure has never happened whenever I use my Gnawing Hunger. In fact, there should be a clip at some point where you will see that I just completely run out of primary ammo. Now, I could probably spec for a mod that allows me to carry more SMG ammo, but I just don't see enough justification to give up my unflinching mods to do that, so I'll just suck it up. The other thing that was quite noticeable was the damage drop off. I would sometimes find myself doing less damage from a shorter distance than I would be if I were using an auto rifle. Granted, it is an SMG and should have a shorter damage drop off distance, but nonetheless, it was still pretty noticeable, so keep that in mind if you're thinking about using it on maps with longer sightlines. All in all, if you're trying to grind for a god roll Ikelos SMG, you're going to be looking for whatever barrel perk suits you, either Seraph rounds or Accurized rounds, dynamic sway reduction, and tap the trigger. That's going to be the PvP god roll, no questions asked. It's also super easy to farm as well, and as long as you have Umbral Engrams, you've got a 50-50 chance at getting the Ikelos SMG out of the CQC focused Umbral Engram. Alright PvEers, it's your time now. Let's talk about what perks you're going to be wanting on this puppy. Unlike our PvP friends, the barrel perks aren't going to matter a ton simply because it is PvE. Because we can pretty much pick and choose when we want to shoot an enemy and from what distance. We won't get many enemies just beelining towards us like they would be in the Crucible, so in the barrel perk slot you can kind of pick and choose what you think would help you out the most. I would personally go for more range. In the magazine slot we've got a ton of options to choose from, which is great. Some of the ones that stick out the most for me are Tactical Mag for that increase in mag size as well as stability and reload, Appended Mag, and Extended Mag for the increased mag sizes as well, or Flared Magwell for a huge bump to reload speed. You can really choose almost any one of these magazine perks and find value in it for PvE, but for SMGs especially, having a big mag size and fast reload speed means I can push out maximum DPS at a very fast rate. So just keep that in mind. In the perk slots, we, again, have quite a few options to choose from. None are terribly OP, but they can still be utilized very effectively for clearing out trash mobs. In the first perk slot, my go-to is probably going to be Subsistence. With Subsistence, we get part of our magazine refilled from our reserves whenever we get a kill. This is great for any of the situations where you've got a ton of thrall to clear out, or to clear out any of those taken scions that seem to duplicate for eternity. You would definitely be okay with something like dynamic sway reduction, as it's just going to make the weapon perform better overall. But for PvE, I want my weapons to significantly help me with either damage output or crowd control, and Subsistence does that for me. In the final perk slot, I would probably go with either Vorpal Weapon or Demolitionist. Both of these are going to be pretty solid choices, as Vorpal Weapon gives us bonus damage to bosses, and Demolitionist gives us grenade energy after a kill. Which, by the way, can be very synergistic if you are using Oppressive Darkness in your PvE build, which I 100% recommend you should, as causing damage with a Void Grenade adds a weaken effect to combatants. This is super effective to have in your build if you are in a Void subclass. I've seen a couple videos about Threat Detector and Surrounded being a good perk combo on this weapon. I'm just not a huge fan of either of those perks because I just don't want to have to rely on putting myself in situations where I'm surrounded by 3 or more enemies in order to receive a damage buff. I would much rather have perks like Vorpal Weapon and Demolitionist that will consistently give me those bonuses no matter what type of PvE content I put myself in. I did end up getting one that is pretty close to what I would consider my god roll for PvE. I got one with Arrowhead Break for more stability and recoil control, as well as Extended Barrel for that increased range, Tactical Mag or Extended Mag so we can push that magazine size up a little bit higher, Subsistence, and Vorpal Weapon. And finally, a Reload Speed Masterwork so we can maximize that DPS. Overall, I think this could be a pretty solid replacement for the Recluse when it gets sunset starting next season. Obviously, it doesn't have a perk like Master of Arms, but then again, what weapon does have a perk like that? The Ikelos SMG is one of the more versatile weapons in terms of lethality in both PvP and PvE that we have in the entire game. And with how farmable it is right now, there is no reason that a majority of the player base shouldn't have their god roll for both situations. Again, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you click the subscribe button as I post a new video every single week. So make sure you click that bell so you know my videos get posted. Links to all of my socials are down below, as well as the community Discord, Destiny Clan, and Patreon can be found in the description box below. Thank you all very much for watching. A positive rating is always appreciated, and as always, we'll see ya.